Hi folks, hope you're doing well. Just a quick video. I just got this subject now, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Father, lead and guide, I pray. So this one is about resistance training. That's going to be fun. Working out how to spell that for the title. Yeah. Yeah. The word's in there somewhere, but trying to find how to spell it in the mind. I have to go into Googly to check, I think. Anyway. Okay. Training. Yes. To be able to achieve anything in life, there needs to be training. And with most forms of training, there will be resistance. Or what's known as resistance training. Even if your training is educational, you've got to do all that studying, all that book work. And you're going to have people that disagree with your point of view, even though your point of view could very well be right. So then you've got to find ways to better put across your point of view, to persuade those who think that they're right and you're wrong. That's resistance training for that area. Yeah, if you want to be a sprinter, you have to put hours and 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 hours of work in the gym. Leg presses, strengthen your legs, strengthen your upper body so that the power is there when you need it. So when it comes to that 100-meter final race, you've done all the work necessary to know that you are ready. And there'd be many days where, certainly if you're doing that sort of sport, you won't be able to walk after training because you have to have the cold baths and all of that to help for recovery, because you're going to have to push yourself harder than you've ever believed you could, because the other people in the race are doing that. And from a spiritual point of view, if you want to be used by God in ministry, God will provide for you resistance training. Yeah. Well, yeah. As God has helped me to see things from a new way, of course, the degree of resistance has been incredible, based upon the fact that, because God hasn't helped them to see the new way, they won't accept it. So the degree of resistance is pretty extreme. Although, generally speaking, of all the new understandings, most people can agree with the principle of the idea of at least most of that, but not all of it, and not the important things. Like they understand that the Lord was the Lamb of God, so therefore his blood covered all the sin. They understand that. What they don't understand, and I'm not willing to grab hold of, is that therefore that means that when Father looks at anyone from that point in time, he doesn't see sin. Yeah, of course. They can understand that, when the word says, when the Lord said, I'm the way and the truth, no one comes to the Father except through me, they understand that. They understand that you're going to come to the Father. But understanding that you're a son and that Christianity has never existed, because we were never supposed to be Christians. We're supposed to be sons. We're supposed to come to maturity. We're not supposed to stay as babies. Helping them to understand that, they don't want to understand that. Yeah. understanding the point of seeing no evil. To a certain degree, people understand that. They understand the principle of it, that we shouldn't be judging people. But when you take it that step further and say, no, we're not supposed to see evil at all, because Father God does not see evil. He doesn't choose to judge according to good and evil unless we do that. But of course, that's taking the previous understanding to something completely different. And as I say, in principle, they accept most of that. And so the amount of resistance has been extreme. But that's okay. Yeah. Well, because the reality is, so long as you survive the training, that's okay. Whatever the training is good. So long as you survive it. And so, and so far I have. And so far, other people who are being trained by God, being moulded by God, they've survived it so far. And so, count it all good when you survived it. Yeah. Well, because from a spiritual point of view, all that resistance is the same as it is in the gym. Sometimes you feel you can't walk. Sometimes you don't want to get up in the morning because you are knackered. Because it is knackering. Well, it can be, But you get up. Just like those people who are doing the 100-meter training, they get up, they walk. They walk strangely. But they walk. And so, So, well, and to a certain degree, this goes in line with the last subject-ish, about the fact that some people are born to be that resistance for your training. There are people who are specifically born to be that resistance for you. Now, even though what they're doing may seem to be a bad thing, it's not necessarily, is it? It's like, I've always said with regards to Judas Iscariot did not need in any way, shape or form to kill himself. He didn't need to do that. The reason why he didn't need to do that is because his sin wasn't actually that great. His sin was necessary. It was a necessary sin. To bring about what was going to happen, what had to happen. The lamb had to be betrayed, had to be handed over. That had to happen. Somebody had to do it. It just happened to be Judas Iscariot, who is the one who was born to do that. That's what he was born to do. I'm not saying this because there's a chance of saving Judas, but no. The reality is, if you're used in a similar way in the future, understand that. Understand that maybe that was your purpose. Maybe. Again, it's difficult, isn't it? Because, you're going to have murderers saying, oh, this is my purpose. If God is being massively glorified, then maybe. You can only ask the question if God is being massively glorified as a result. But you don't get to be Reinhard Bonnke, you don't get to be Smith Wigglesworth, you don't get to be any of those people without going through that resistance training. And there were people that helped them to be who they were. there were people that stood in their way and blocked their path. And yeah. The problem we have now in churches, as I said, when you have pastors like Jeff Oakes who will ban someone because what they're doing is offensive to people, he is completely without understanding that maybe God wants that offence to happen. Yeah, for good. And when you are blocking that offence, you're blocking good from happening. And this is the point. This is where you know that these people are not of God. It took me a while to get to that point, to know that they are not of God. And again, they're not of God now. It doesn't mean they won't be in the future. It just means they're not of God now, or they were not at that point in time. They may be now, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. So there you go. Be trained. Ask God to train you. Ask God to give you that training, to help you to be prepared for what's coming. Have a desire in your heart to serve, because if you do, you're going to be trained. And yes, it's going to be difficult. That's why I say get the right people around you. Get the people around you that are going to help you on your journey. Because if your journey is supposed to be difficult, you want people who are not going to try and stop the difficulty. So if you're in a church that tries to do that and you want to serve God, get out that church. That church won't help you. No, it won't. You know, if you're in a church with somebody like Jeff Oakes, then you need to get out of that church, because that pastor will not help you to walk your walk and to be in a position where God can use you in the future. Because the training can be hard, and they try and stop anything hard affecting the people in church. So, yeah, I mean, of course, they would say, oh no, we're sensitive to what God is doing. No, you're not. No. You're not. And again, I'm not judging the people, because they can be of God now. I'm simply saying they weren't then. But, yeah, if you have a pastor, or if you have people around you that are like that, then you need to get away from them. You want people around you that are going to help you to go through whatever it is you're going to go through. Because going through it, you ask people like Usain Bolt, was all of that incredibly difficult training, was it worth it? At least in the moments where he had that incredible success, you know, was all that hard work worth it? And he would say, yeah. Even now, I mean, I've watched charity football games, and Usain Bolt has played in them and been running around. So one has to say his knees haven't been massively impacted as of yet. They may be by playing football, but not by running 100 metres and 200 metres, no. But yeah, these people have to put in an incredible amount. Yeah, people like Paul Ratcliffe doing the marathon time and time again. Took constant training, so much hard work on her body. Yeah, on her hips, her knees, her ankles. Yeah. Yeah, getting up really early every morning to put those miles in, because you want to be a marathon runner, you've got to run a good amount of miles every day and still do things that bring money in. Certainly, put it this way, if you're a few leagues away from her level, you've still got to do all the training she does, but you haven't got the income coming in. You haven't got the sponsorship, so you must have to do another job. So you're going to be knackered. Your victory may simply be that last time you raced in the marathon, you finished in 1000th position. This time you finish in 500th position. So you've done a lot better. And that may be your only, success. But at that moment you finish, and you know you've finished so much higher than what you did last time. It's worth it. It's worth all that you put in. And this is a point. This is where people in life, where they've accepted jobs just because it brings money in, it ain't worth it. That isn't worth it in any way, shape or form. So look at your heart, look at what you desire, and ask God to help you to get there, and get the people around you that are going to help you to get there. In the end, it's your decision, because if you've got people in your life that aren't good for you, you can't blame them when you get judged by God. You can't say it's their fault, because you kept them around. You have choices in your life to keep good or bad people around. You choose. You choose to deal with that. I made a decision that, was I going to be a churchy person? Was I going to be kissing the ground that pastors walked on? And the answer is no. I've stayed true to who I am, and there's been a cost to that. Now, at the moment, I'm still in that position that looks like I made a bad choice, because I don't have that fellowship. I don't have those people helping me. But in the end, it's up to God to prove that I made a good decision. I believe I did. And I believe, in the end, I don't care what it looks like. Really. I mean, I can say I don't care what it looks like now, because I believe it'll look better in the future, but the reality is, what it looks like is his business. And if he doesn't care, why would I? So there you go. Ask God to help you for the journey that you have ahead, and put the right people around you. Be a blessing, be blessed, and I will speak to you soon. Enjoy. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Bye-bye.